This is SiffTV.
My name is Kevin Tomlinson. I'm the director and producer of Back to the Garden, Flower Power Comes Full Circle. And our film had its world premiere here at SIFF. We've had incredible turnout, both sold out screenings and very, very warm, enthusiastic, moving responses to our film, which I'm very, very gratified and humbled by. I'll tell you, I was a little worried on night 2. They weren't quite as enthusiastic with their applause, but the Q&A we had afterwards, I mean, people couldn't have been more kind and more forthcoming about how they felt about our film. So I was really, really moved by that. It started back in 1988. I was working as an independent cameraman, and I was on a little road trip with a friend of mine, and we were kind of playing out our Jack Kerouac, Neil Cassidy roles, driving across the forlorn backwoods, back streets of the West, and I found this brochure in a co-op in a small town in eastern Washington announcing a healing gathering. And I thought, what's a healing gathering? That sounds kind of something like out of the 60s. And indeed it was. And so I decided to contact the people and ask permission if I could film there. And after a little bit of reluctance, they decided I was okay. And I shot interviews and B-roll for about 4 days. And then the next year I came back and did the same thing. And then it sat in my basement through 4 moves for almost 20 years before I looked at it again. Well, I was always bothered by the fact that I'd never done anything with the footage, and I thought there's something great here. There's something really important here that we need to that could make a great documentary. But back in '88, that was the height of Reaganism. Wall Street was the most popular film in America, underscoring greed and dishonesty as good values. And I just felt like nobody was really going to listen to a bunch of hippies talking about saving the world and wanting to have peace and living more simply. But in 2006, when I went back to the footage and looked at it, suddenly it took on a whole different meaning. And I thought, this will really have an impact considering what we're going through now. I think it'll be a message piece for some people, but it's not intended that way. It's more, I think, an examination of a group of people who are living out of the mainstream, an alternative lifestyle, who have been incredibly determined and have a very tight-knit community and have raised families and have, by their own terms, have been very successful in raising those families and living on less than the U.S. poverty level of, very low income levels throughout the last 20 years. And I think what it really impressed me about these people is that they've been doing it consistently since I met them originally 20 years ago. They haven't given up the ghost and gone into mainstream America and taken regular jobs. They've been able to really see it through, and that's what really made me think there's a story to tell here. I've become pretty good friends with, I'd say, all of my subjects, and that's just kind of a natural. I think you have to have that ability in order to tell a good story, especially a documentary. In my opinion, it's all about access to your subjects, and they've given me their complete trust, and I've spoken to their families, their children. I've spent a lot of time with them over the last 2 years documenting their lives so that we got a real sense of the fullness of what their lives are like rather than just a quick little snapshot. So I was there in all seasons and showing their background, and also I think they wanted to get this message out there as much as maybe I did. But yeah, I would call these people very good friends. I think I've become a lot more conscious of the way I live in terms of, consumption How much do I really need to have to in my life? I think we all kind of have too much stuff in our garage and in our homes, and every time you move, you kind of figure that out. But I'm much more aware now, I think, than I was before about what's really necessary to make one happy, what's really necessary to just get by in the world. You don't need all this stuff. So I guess in a lot of ways it's been very moving for me to meet these people and see that, you know, they don't even have the same sort of nuclear family that most of us are used to. They've got 50 cousins and several different parents in some cases because of different arrangements and marriages and so forth, but it works. It's like a big tribal family. And when they get together for a reunion, it's like, they've got extended family for support, more so than a lot of so-called nuclear families. So I really admire that. I didn't have a big crew. It was just me and sometimes my wife who would do the interview questions. So, you could work very, very close with people without a whole lot of intimidation factor of sound people and grips and dollies and, all the equipment. So I also just felt that it was kind of my story too. Since I'd met them 20 years ago, part of the story is how have I changed over the 20 years, just like these people. What's happened in their lives, what's happened in my life since the late 80s. I'm part of the film. Yeah, I got kind of dragged kicking and screaming to do that, but because I'm used to being behind the camera. I don't want to. It wasn't supposed to be about me, but when I showed it to some screening audiences, they kept saying, but we're so confused. You've got 8, 10 characters here. We need someone to kind of guide us through here. And I also felt like I could be that person. And I am sort of the everyman that you can relate to when you go see the film. And so I tried it out, and hopefully it works. My advice would just be, whatever subject matter you want to take on, don't think about trying to do something very quickly. I think really good stuff comes out of getting to know your subjects, and like I said, access is 90% of success in these kind of projects. You need to spend time with your subjects so that you develop a trust with them, and that's so important in getting genuine human responses from people. I think it was, really worked for us, hopefully.
Thanks for watching SiffTV, your resource for all things Siff. And enjoy the 2009 Seattle International Film Festival.